Hello, my name is Fernando de Zayas, and I'll be handling the code review for Ilan1.4 for MetaTrader 4. So to start, I have the revised version of Ilan 1.4 here, and the original version here. As you can see, the original comments do not really come out well since these are Russian characters, and I had to put most of the original ones through a Russian to English translator. So at least one of them would not make sense word for word. To start, at the very top, it's just starting with the property of copyright to Nikisaki at Yandex.ru, which is just the Russian author. Next, we have the input variables that can be modified. Type is the money management type. When it's 0, it goes by the basic lot logic. When it's 1, it goes with the Ilan 1.2 logic. And when it's 2, it goes with the martingale logic. This will be shown near the end. Next is use close, which just handles closing by the loss pip step. It's recommended to be false because it does not allow for recovery of the funds if it just goes too low for a little while. Use add allows rediscovery with a new lot, just for reopening it, calculated by the lot exponent regardless of the type. Recommended to be true. Lot exponent is the multiplication of lots in the series by exponent for break even. It's pretty much the Fibonacci sequence, but with 0.16 and 0.26 as the first two. Slip is the allowable price slippage in pips. Lots is the size of each lot. It's possible to go with micro lots of 0.01, though it won't go with the expected increase. For example, if you start with 0.1 and use 0.01 as lots, the next one will be 0.16. The lots digits is just how far from the ones place in a decimal number will the lots go. In the case of 1, it would go to 0.1. In the case of 2, it would go to 0.01. Take profit is the level of profit in pips from the opening price. And here we have 3 variables that the author commented do not work. These affect the trailing all and the trailing all function and the use trailing stop input. Next is the pip step, which is just the distance in pips of the loss at which the next order of the knee is opened. Yeah, this is the one that translated badly from Russian to English. Max trades is just how many unique trades are currently open, regardless of the amount of lots. Use equity stop allows the expert advisor to close all orders if the equity reaches the minimum value based on the total equity risk. Total equity risk is just the loss as a percentage of the equity. Use trailing stop. As I said before, it's related to these that do not work. Use timeout allows the expert advisor to close all orders if it is running up until the expiration variable. Max trade open hours, it's used for the default value of the expiration variable and it's used to modify it if use timeout is true. Next, these are not input variables because they are changed various times throughout the code with the exception of magic number. Some were not commented just because their definition is obvious enough. And let's go for the ones that did comment. Flag has a vague name, but it's just to check if whether an order was placed or not for the purposes of computing the average. Next is the expert advisor name, Ilan 1.4. Now we have time previous and expiration, which is just to hold the previous time this expert advisor was run, and to hold the upper limit of how long this expert advisor can run. Number of trades just holds the amount of total open orders. Ilan holds the current amount of open buy or sell orders. Count is just the general for loop variable. Like if you have for int I less than 20, I plus plus, count would be I in this case. It's defined up here for the author's sake. Total open orders is just how many open orders there currently are. Stopper is an interesting one because even though it's defined, it's not actually used in the way you would expect. Here, if a new order has been placed, for every order starting from the end going to the beginning, if it's a buy order, the price target equals the average price plus take profit times point, buy target equals a price target, and stopper gets average price minus stop loss times point. Same down here, except it's a plus. Now, if we keep going, you'll see the only other time stopper is mentioned is in a commented out line of code, so it literally does not do anything based on what the author has changed. Instead of relying on stopper, it is using average price for if open orders need to be changed to calculate to the newly calculated profit target. And back up to here. Trade now, long trade, and short trade are flags for whether trading is currently allowed, bull trading is in progress, or bear trading is in progress. Ticket just holds the number assigned to a ticket, or -1 if the ticket was not assigned or created. And new orders placed is just used to recalculate stop loss and profit target based on the average opening price, and it is flagged on placing new orders and flagged off when the logic applies. Now, initialization is just setting the spread. Literally, that's it. Deinitialization is just returning. Now, pretty much all of the logic of the expert advisor is held in the start function. To begin with, use trailing stop. It's a non-functional branch since trail start and trail stop are labeled as not working, but we'll still go through it. Again, I labeled that it's not working here. If stop equals 0, then there's no point in continuing, so it returns. Now, for every trade, or every order in this case, labeled to trade, if the symbol and magic number matches, if it's buy, the profit becomes the normalized double of the bid minus the average price divided by point and 0. If the profit is less than the start amount, then you skip this line, which would just say a stop trade equals the order stop loss. Then the stop calculation would be equals bid minus stop times point, and if stop trade equals 0 or stop trade not equal to 0 and stop calculation is greater than stop trade, it modifies the order for the average price and the stop calculation. And it is pretty much exactly the same thing with inverted symbols here, minus to plus, greater than to less than, and changing the color from aqua to red, and then it sleeps. Timeout is if the EA expert advisor is allowed to time out based on the value of expiration. If the current time is greater than or equal to expiration, it would just say close the symbol all, and it would close all symbols. This is a custom function, and it just handles closing all of them. For every order, labeled the trade, if the magic number and the symbol matches, order close. If it's buy, order close. If it's sell, sleep. And repeat. and then print closed all due to timeout. If time previous equals time 0, if the A was previously run at the first recorded time for this run, return 0. This is essentially saying that somehow this line came after this line, in which case something went wrong. So it just says nope and tries again in a different oh no, it just returns and says try again. Current pair profit equals calculate profit. It just sums the current profit with the order profit if the order symbol and magic number are correct. Calculate profit down here, same comment. It initializes profit to 0 for every order going down to the first one. If the symbol and magic number matches, whether it's buy or sell, it adds the order profit to profit, and then at the end, after going through every order, it returns profit. Use equity stop. This one stops all trades if the losses are beyond the total equity risk. But first, it requires the input of use equity stop to be set to true. Next, it checks if the current pair profit is less than 0, calculated up here, and the absolute value of current pair profit is greater than the total equity risk divided by 100 times the account equity high, which would just give the percentage of would just give the total risk, and it would say either you're beyond the risk or you aren't. If you are, it closes all the symbols, close it all due to stop out, and new orders placed goes to false. And then it just starts over. Total open orders equals count trades. It counts all the open orders and puts them in total open orders. This one is also a custom function. It returns the count of all trades, or 0 if none have the correct symbol and magic number. Count goes to 0, trade is the for loop variable here, and then if they have the correct symbol and magic number, whether it's buy or sell, count plus plus. If the total open orders is 0, flag equals 0. So in this case, it's marking that no orders have been placed. Now we go into another for loop, which in this case goes for all of the orders from the most recent to the first one. If the symbol and magic number do not match, it just skips this one, which seems like an error. Because it's still doing the same exact freaking check here. In the case that it does match, it sets the long trade to true, short trade to false. In this case, long trade and short trade refer to bull and bear trade respectively. And then it sets the last buy lots to order lots. Conversely, if the order type is sell, it does long trade is false, short trade is true, and the last sell lots is order lots. And then break on both. If total open orders is greater than 0 and total is less than or equal to max trades, pretty much saying you have more than one order and you have space for more, at least you have space for at least one more unique order. It refreshes the rates, finds the last buy and sell price. If long trade is up, or if it is bull trade, and then it compares the last buy price last buy price minus ask to greater than or equal the pip step times a point, it allows trading. The opposite would be if bear trade is allowed, checks on short trade, and then bid minus last sell price has to be greater than or equal to pip step times point. And trade now would then be set to true. If the total open orders is less than 1, you allow the trades and set the equity. Because in this case there's no bull trading, there's no bear trading, allow you to trade and set the account equity, set the start equity to the account equity. Alright, and now I go into when trading is allowed. Last buy price and last sell price are required. If it is a bear trade, you start with if the market can be closed based on pips loss. If it can, then you go with this function to close it, which more specifically focuses on closing the one that is not passed in. This requires passing in two booleans. The first one is if you want to close all buy orders, and the second one is if you want to close all sell orders. So for every order, it checks if it's a buy or sell, and then it checks if the relevant boolean given as input is true. It closes those, or at least attempts to, and then handles the logic here for specifically if it isn't busy, then it tries to close it. If it can't close it, then it prints the error, gives an error number. However, if it was busy, it gives a time and it prints it needs to close this buy order and the trade context is busy, returning a different error. And that is pretty much the same for if it is a sell order. Then I lots becomes the normalized double of lot exponent times last sell lots and lots digits. If use close is not allowed, then I lots just gets f get lots. It just returns the amount of lots for a trade type based on the money management input value. In this case, we're going through the three cases. Case 0, which is lots only, just sets t lots equals to the lots. Case 1 is the logic from Ilan1.2. It normalizes the double. It does a normalized double with lots times math.power of lot exponent and number of trades, and then with lots digits. And the last case is the martingale logic, which checks the last close times. If the last close time is less than the order close time, it sets it to the order close time. And if the order profit is less than 0, it sets the lots to the normalized double of order lots times lot exponent and lots digits. Else, t lots goes to lots, same as before. And if it isn't even an order, return -3, which is another error. And all the way out of all of these cases, if the account free margin is less or equal to 0, return an error because we really do not want that. And if the error code is 134, that's just a busy error code, so we return -2 and say this did not work. But if all of those go through, it returns t lots. Based on this order type that it's looking through. Now, if lots are allowed to be rediscovered, the number of trades is the amount of total open orders. If I lots is greater than 0, you refresh the rates. You open the pending order because this is still a bear trade of the sell orders with these variables. And here, if ticket is less than 0, it is an error, and it prints it. Then it gives the last sell price equals the finding last sell price. Trade now equals false. So you stop trading until the order is processed. New order is placed equals true to mark that a new order is ready to be processed. And now with long trade or bull trade, it is the exact same thing, just replace sell with buy. and the color hot pink with lime. Trade now still goes to false. New orders placed still goes to true. Oh yeah, sell goes to buy. Sell goes to buy. Still the same. Now, if trade now and open orders is less than 1, so you're allowed to trade and there are no open trades, which follows from here. If there are no open orders, you set trade now to true and both of these to false. You calculate the previous close and the current close based on the symbol. You get the sell limit and the buy limit. And then once again confirming that bear trading and bull trading are not allowed right now. Number of trades equals the total open orders. If the previous close is greater than the current close, you do enough get lots of the sell orders. And then if the I lots resulting from that is greater than 0, you open the pending order. Once again, an error check if the ticket could even be opened, and then the last buy price equals find last buy price, and a new order is placed equals true. Now, same logic, just with bull instead of bear, and focusing on buy instead of sell. Oh yeah, and lime instead of hot pink. Ticket logic is the same. Last sell price becomes find last sell price. New orders placed goes to true. If the ticket is greater than 0, then the expiration becomes current time plus max trade open hours times 60 times 60, which is converting it from seconds to minutes to hours. And trade now becomes false so that the order can be processed. Now, calculating the average opening price. First, total open orders goes to count the trades, all open trades. Average price is set to 0, double count set to 0. We're still using the original count from the very beginning for the for loop. If the symbol and the magic number match, whether to buy or sell, average price equals average price plus the order open price times order lots. Count equals count plus order lots. And then if the total open orders is greater than 0, the average price becomes the normalized double of average price divided by count and digits, which is just how far you're going. If a new order has been placed, you would calculate the stop loss and profit target based on the average opening price. For loop once again, if the symbol and magic number match. If it is a bull, the price target becomes the average price plus take profit times point. Buy target becomes price target. We ignore stopper since I explained that isn't used at the beginning. Sell is the same. Price target equals average price minus take profit times point. Sell target equals price target, and stopper is not used. Flags are both to 1, so that the profit target is recalculated. First, it checks if a new order is still placed. Flag is set to 1 from here. Then, for every order that has the correct symbol and magic number, it modifies the order to use the average price, stop loss, and price target, and it says new orders placed to false, so more orders can be placed. And that is all of start, just start. Next we have this function double ND, which just gives the normalized double of whatever you pass in up to this many digits. Close market we have covered before. It just closes the market based on which booleans are passed in. Essentially, if you pass in all close by is true, all buy orders will be closed. If you pass in all closed sells as true, all sell orders will be closed. If you pass in both as false, there's no point. If you pass in both as true, you're pretty much closing everything, and you'd rather use close all symbols. And it returns errors in case one happens. Get lots returns the lots for a trade type based on the money management input type. We've covered this as well. Count trades, the count of all trades, or 0 if none have the correct symbol magic number. Yep. Close the symbol all. Like I said, this would be a better choice than F order close market when both are passed in as true. Now, open pending order is what we use to assign the value for every ticket. So let's go into the logic here. Ticket is set to hold the number assigned to the ticket, or -1 if it was not assigned. Error is the error variable. C is the counter for loops in this case instead of CNT. And number of tries is the upper limit of attempts for every for loop, such as here. So to start, based on P type, which is passed in for open pending order, the very first parameter. If it is by limit, it tries to send this order of by limit with the rest of the input. It grabs the last error. If the error is 0, there's no error, so it just breaks. If it's 4, 137, 146, or 136, those are busy errors, so it sleeps and then continues. Else, it's a normal error in the sense that there's nothing you can really do to fix it, so it just breaks. Now, in the case of buy stop, it is pretty much the same thing. The only difference is sleep 5,000 instead of sleep 1,000. And buy stop instead of buy limit. Now when we go to buy, besides the obvious difference here, sleeps are the same, but now you have system variables being used instead of passed in variables. And now we go to the 3 cases for selling. Sell limit is pretty much the same as buy limit, just focused on selling and taking shorts instead of longs. Though in this case sleep was set to 5,000 instead of 1,000, unlike OP buy limit. OP sell stop is pretty much the same thing, except it's using OP sell stop instead of OP sell limit, and OP sell to OP sell stop is the same as OP buy to OP buy stop. It's using system variables instead of passed in variables to the function. And I'm not covering these again because the error logic for each of these is exactly the same, except in the case of OP buy limit, which just had sleep 1,000. Now, stop long is one of the functions used up here. Which just returns the price minus stop times point if you do not give it 0 as the second value, which would be stop. Stop short is the same, except it is price plus instead of price minus. Now, take long and take short are the same, but inverted. Are the same as the original ones, such as stop long to take long, except you're inverting them and using take instead of stop, hence the name. So in the case of take long, instead of price minus stop times point, you're using price plus take times point. And take short does the same inversion from stop short. Calculate profit, we've already covered. It just grabs the profit from each of them if It matches the current symbol and magic number and keeps incrementing it to itself. Trailing alls, I've covered why. Yeah, I've already covered this at the beginning. Due to the author's notes, it's not used. Account equity high. First, it sets the account equity high amount and previous equity variables, just stating to them to be used. If the amount of trades is 0, amount equity high becomes the current amount account equity. If account equity high is less than the previous equity, it becomes the previous equity, and else account equity high becomes the current account equity. And then after that, the previous equity becomes account equity, and you return the account equity high. Find last buy and sell price is just returning the last buy or sell price for a specific symbol. It's going through initializing the variables, looks through the correct symbol, magic number, and then the order type of buy or sell. And then for the logic, it grabs a ticket. If the ticket number is greater than the old ticket number, meaning it was put in afterwards, then you just grab those values to be placed here, and you keep incrementing through a loop until you finish, and then you return the order price. Same with here. Logic is pretty much the same. That's all of it for Ilan 1.4. Thank you for your time.